Good afternoon and welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of Monday, March the 3rd, 2025. Please be advised a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chambers by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a short moment of silent meditation, and remain standing if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business for the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item must first register and sign in at the table located in the lobby. The council shall require any member of the public addressing the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization, if they represent one, and their address, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. Each speaker should state whether they are speaking in favor or in opposition to the item, and testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item should come forward after the clerk has read the item and the applicant has presented. After public comments, the applicant may make one short rebuttal. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on an issue not on the agenda for that day nor planned for a future agenda. We ask that all speakers strive for civility and allow the business of the council to proceed unimpeded. Will the clerk please read the first item of business?
Our first item of business for today's City Council meeting of Monday, March 3rd, 2025 is our consent agenda, sections 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Is there anyone present to speak on an item on the consent? Director Elliott? Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I just wanted to touch base on item 1E, and it was approving the contractor for Adams Street project from 36th to 49th Street. This is one where we are going through utilizing federal funding through NDOT, Nebraska Department of Transportation. And we have, I just got updated information that we have now just opened the bids today and have the low bid is CL Construction LLC, and their bid was about 2.77, so about $2 million, a little over, just under $3 million. Let me restate that. So we will be awarding that to CL Construction here this week and completing that that project and getting that work done this summer. So I just wanted to update you. I know the fact sheet said that was in process, so just wanted to provide you that that had been done, and it's CL Construction. So happy to answer any questions.
Would you mind repeating the bid?
So the bid was $2,771,000 was the total bid price for that project, which thankfully was under our estimate by a little bit. So that's good.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Do any other counselors have questions for Director Elliott on 1E?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
very
forward.
much.
All right. Is there anyone else here in chambers to present on any of the consent items? Good afternoon, Ms. Finner.
Yep, my name is Anastasia Fenner, and I'm gonna waive my address for my personal safety. So first off, obviously, I don't think that we should be reappointing any of these folks to the Nebraska Capital Environs Commission. It seems that perhaps they, I don't know, don't take too kindly to listening to constituents. Mostly because I feel like this entire agenda is totally moot. Literally hours ago, Ben Gvir, the former Minister of National Security in Israel, says if Hamas threatens Israeli prisoners, the Israel government should announce and threaten that every Israeli prisoner harmed, Palestinian prisoners, will be executed. And I think that it's really beyond the pale that we've continued to do nothing. That I don't understand how the city government can, I don't know, exist in a timeline where we all grew up, right? None of us were there during World War II. We were all too young, right? Or merely didn't exist. So we've all been growing up with this question of what would you do if you knew that these horrors were going on in the world, horrors that we produce, that Lincoln, Nebraska is responsible for, in part. They're literally talking here, like the government that we do business with, because Lincoln, Nebraska has this private-public partnership where we funnel people in to go make these 2,000-pound bombs and these electronics for weapon systems at General Dynamics here in Lincoln on Superior and Industrial Avenue. And literally nothing has been done because I guess the question doesn't ever occur to you that, like, what you would do during like a genocide, during one of the worst things you've ever seen. You're doing it now, and they're doing nothing, right? These council people have been shown that this is our fault, that we contribute to this actively because we legitimize the country that does so, right? So none of this should be really in the front of anyone's mind, because like, though you pass something that like relieves maybe some pain to a privileged class of disabled people to allow them access by not having to pay for a parking meter, you are actively contributing to the deaths of disabled people across the world by allowing, first off, by continuing to allow Pepsi products here, by continuing to use HP, by continuing to have your money housed by Wells Fargo. It's really more than disheartening to see the city constantly see the evidence, to hear people's pain, to see from journalists on the ground in Gaza and in the West Bank, and to have everything that we have been telling you about to be, there has been nothing on the agenda. Emails have not been responded to, no actual information about why our city leaders can't do anything has been answered. There are still people, not just in Gaza, but in Lebanon as well, and in Syria, that have been affected by us because we are part of the chain that creates these giant weapons that do nothing but kill people. And instead of acting and understanding that these people have the most severe and evil intent, we are allowing it to go by. This body has said nothing and done nothing, and that is an abject failure.
Ms. Finner, you began by saying you were in opposition to the reappointment of the two nominees for the Capitol Environs Commission. Did you have a substantiated statement about that?
I did, and it's a matter of record, and if anyone really cares to hear it, they can go back and re-listen to the first part of my segment, because this is all completely connected. Why is this even part of our discussion? Why are we not actually taking action on things that matter? Like the Environs Commission is I was here last week when I heard the head of Parks and Rec or the Forestry Department give a lot of non-answers that he also gave to the Environs Commission, which they seem to be very willing to just take those non-answers. And so my point is, like, why have you not specifically done anything about this incredibly urgent issue that people have been trying to alert you on?
I appreciate your comments on 1B, and we'll address that in
This
our
is
vote.
what language sounds like when people are on purpose not listening to the fact that a genocide is going on.
Thank you for
That
your
is what is
comments
going on right
on
now.
the consent agenda.
There is no conversation about the atrocities that are actually going on.
Sure.
Instead,
You've
there is
already made
this
your comments.
Complete adherence to these rules that just allow people to.
Ms. Fenner, you've
continue
made
to-
your comments. Thank you very much. We're going to move on. Is there anyone else in chambers who'd like to address the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, we may call the roll on the consent agenda.
Gonna come get me, Scotty?
Item 1A is reappointing Emily Deeger and Michael Harpster to the Urban Design Committee for terms to expire February 1st, 2028, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1B is reappointing Andrea Gebhardt and David Quaid to the Nebraska Capital Environments Commission for terms to expire January 9th, 2028, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Weber,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1C is reappointing David Johnson to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term to expire February 1st of 2030, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
Carlson,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1D is approving a professional services agreement supplement number 1 for preliminary engineering services between the City of Lincoln and Shemmer Associates, Inc. for the Waterford Trail Project, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1E is approving the selection of a contractor pursuant to the bids to be opened on February 27, 2025, and authorizing execution of the construction contract between the city and the State of Nebraska Department of Transportation for the use of federal transportation program funds for design, construction, and construction engineering for the Adams Street from 36th Street to 49th Street rehab project, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Items 2A through 2C were introduced by Schob.
So moved. Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, moving forward to public hearing liquor resolutions. Madam Clerk, please call the first items.
I'll call item 4A and B together. Items 4A and B is application of Keds Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Da Vinci's for a Class C liquor license located at 4344 O Street, and the related manager application of Joe Armstrong.
All right. Is the applicant here this afternoon? Please come forward.
Come on down.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Joe Armstrong. I am would be the manager for Da Vinci's and seeking a liquor license for our 44th and O location.
All right. Are there any questions or from the counselors?
Yeah, one question, Joe.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Did you used to own a mowing service out of Beatrice?
No, I didn't. That's not me.
Not you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I had to ask that when I saw
No,
the name.
there is a Joe Armstrong, I think, in Beatrice, but it's not me.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Armstrong? I see that you're signed up for the training on
Yes.
March 13th.
Yep.
Thank you. And that, okay, I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Any
Thank
other
you so
questions?
much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Is there anyone here who'd like to comment on this application, either in support or in opposition to 4A and 4B? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Madam Clerk.
Item 4C is application of McFarland Family Farms LLC doing business as Max Creek Winery and Brewery for special designated licenses to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 10 feet by 10 feet at the Haymarket Farmers Market at 246 North 8th Street on May 10th, 17th, 24th, June 14th, 28th, and July 12th, 26th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
All right, is the applicant here this afternoon? Well, I will say that it always gives me hope that spring is right around the corner when we get a special designated license for the farmer's market, so can't be too far away. So, all right. Is there anyone here to speak on this item today, either in support or in opposition? Seeing none?
Madam Chair, since no one else is coming forward to speak on these three agenda items, I'd like to move approval of item 4A, 4B, and 4C.
Second.
Second, Brody Weber, Councilman Weber, pardon me. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's move forward to public hearing resolutions.
I'll call item 5A, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for February 1st through February 15th, 2026.
All right. Is there anyone in chambers today to speak on a claim against the city? Please come forward.
I'm sure it's not in the dates that you have listed on here. Is that okay?
All right.
All right. Could you give one of
Please
these?
state your name so that
I'm
we,
Dean Forgy.
Dean, Mr. Forgy?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Give us just a moment to
Sure.
read
Thank
what
you.
you have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Forgy, please proceed.
Okay. I've given each of you a packet which contains the claim I submitted last November. It also contains the cost of repairs to my van, and on the back of that, the receipt that shows payment for that cost. The next is the crash diagram and description from the accident report filed by the Officer Sims of the Lincoln Police Department. Lastly, there is an edited copy of the crash diagram that I created to show more detail what happened that day. The crash description states the LFR staff advised traffic stopped quickly in front of them and they slid down the hill due to the rain. LFR advised they entered the outside lane and V1 moved to the right to avoid a collision, then struck the curb and punctured their tire. No citations were given. The letter I received from the Assistant City Attorney states that after evaluating the statement of the city driver and the accident report completed by the Lincoln Police Department, I cannot recommend the City of Lincoln assume liability for the accident. It appears the incident giving rise to your claim was another vehicle that caused the city driver to take evasive action to avoid the accident. Accordingly, I do not believe there exists sufficient evidence to support the claim that the city driver was negligent. Therefore, I am referring this claim to the Lincoln City Council with the recommendation that the claim be denied. I'd like to draw your attention to the two crash diagrams. The original shows the fire engine veering into the outside lane and my vehicle being forced to the curb. It shows the point of impact, number one, where my passenger side front tire hit the curb, and the point of impact, number two, which is the opening of a storm drain, where my driver's side front tire hit. The impact with the curb at the storm drain caused damage to the tire on the driver's side and the rim, both of which had to be replaced. Now I'd like to have you look at the edited version of the crash diagram. This shows a more accurate location of LFR engine and my vehicle marked as V1 at the time the city vehicle began to veer into my lane. My vehicle moved to the right, hit the curb, and came to a stop on the sidewalk in the locations shown. The LFR engine came to a stop in the outside lane further up the street. What I would like you to notice is vehicle 2, marked as V2 on the diagram. This is the vehicle that the city attorney's office states caused the driver to take evasive action and avoid an accident. V2 was stopped in the middle lane with their left turn signal on because there's no turning lane at this intersection, waiting for traffic traveling in the opposite direction to clear before turning onto Jefferson Avenue. The driver of V2 had done and was doing nothing wrong or illegal, even if they stopped quickly. The city driver had to take evasive action, not because of anything driver V2 had done, but because he had not allowed enough distance to stop with the wet condition of the road without hitting V2. Fire engines can't stop on a dime, even on dry streets. Had the city driver collided with V2, he would have been cited. Instead of colliding with V2, city driver veered into my lane. His lights and siren were not on. His right turn signal was not on. There was no warning that he was going to come into my lane. I reacted by hitting my brakes and turning toward the curb. Had I continued straight ahead in my lane, I would have collided with LFR engine 9. Had this happened, the city driver would have been cited for changing lanes without signaling. There would have been considerably more damage to my vehicle and LFR 9 to repair. The only reason the city driver was not cited in this incident is that I reacted quickly enough to avoid a collision with LFR engine 9. I think I've demonstrated sufficient evidence that the city driver was negligent in this case and that the city is liable for the damage to my van. I respectfully request that you approve my claim for the cost of the repairs to my van. Thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Fogarty. Do any councilors have questions? Councilman Duden? And then,
I guess I can kind of critique the accident. I see the edited version repeats the same narrative that was on the initial one, but it doesn't really tell you the dates between when was the edited version completed.
After I got the letter that the claim had been denied.
And so what prompted the change?
The edited version is simply to give a more complete picture of what occurred on that day.
And that's
And
and this is the officer's report.
Right, the officer's report. The original is not what I submitted. Had I submitted it, it would have included the rest of that. But that's what the officer submitted.
Okay. In the narrative, there was no mention of speed. How fast was?
Well, the speed limit there is 35 going downhill from 27th eastbound on South Street. So, like I said, I don't think anybody was going over the speed limit, but probably 30 to 35 miles an hour would have been my guess for both vehicles, his and mine, or the engine and mine. I think what actually happened was, if you see on the diagram, South 28th Street is right in front of Jefferson Avenue. I think that, well, the V2 had their turn signal on before they got to South 28th, and I think the LFR driver thought the guy was going to turn on 28th instead of Jefferson. And at that time, there weren't cars coming, or at least close enough coming from the opposite direction. They could have made a turn on 28th and done it easily. But when he passed 28th to turn onto Jefferson, I think that's when the fire engine driver realized that he needed to stop because traffic coming the other direction wasn't going to allow time for that car to turn on Jefferson before he made contact. So he hit his brakes and he started to slide into my lane, and that's when I reacted.
Do you have the entire accident report?
Not with me, no. I mean, the only thing that was damaged was my van. No damage to V2, no damage to the fire engine. And nobody was cited because nobody hit anybody.
Well, but there was still damage. That's
There
why
was
there's
still
an
damage.
accident report, so.
Right.
I have my questions, thank you.
Councilman Bowers.
Awesome. Mr. or Doctor?
Both.
Oh, okay. So I just got a couple of questions for you, Doctor. Because I just need to kind of visualize this in my mind. So you said that you're kind of in the rear axle of the fire truck, of the engine.
Right.
They started coming over. That's what made you swerve over. That's when you hit the curb, went over that, and then they eventually got into your lane. The engine said that they swerved because they were trying to avoid the car that was in front of them. That would be vehicle 2, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was getting that correctly.
Right.
Thank you, Doctor.
Any other questions from councilors? Councilman Duden? And
Was vehicle 2 stopped?
Well, they had to stop because the oncoming traffic would have.
Because
like
they
I
were
said,
attempting to turn left
They
on
were
Jefferson.
turning left on Jefferson, yes. So they had to stop because the oncoming traffic, there would have been an accident had that occurred. So,
Dr. Fogarty, I have a question.
Sure.
So the accident was November 4th,
yes,
and the first diagram was produced by the officer
Officer Sims, yes.
on November 4th?
Well, he came and investigated. I got the copy of the report a few days later when it came up on the website, so.
Okay. And then when did Officer Sims create the edited?
He didn't, I did.
You created the
Right.
edited version. And when
Right.
did you create the edited version again?
Basically, after I got it would have been probably, towards the end of February. I got the letter from the assistant city attorney. It was dated February 12th. I don't think I got it until like a week and a half ago.
Okay,
So-
February 2025.
Right.
Right, okay.
But so, the reason I created it, like what said, was to show more detail about what actually happened.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Would anyone on council like to speak to staff? Okay. Councilman Bowers?
I guess I have a question for someone from City Law.
Oh, there's Lily.
Lily Ely, Assistant City Attorney, 555 South 10th.
Thanks. I think the biggest question that I have, or one of the questions that I have, is no one's denying that the fire engine swerved over into the right lane and that caused this incident, right? Like, no one's denying that. What's kind of the question is the reason why they had to do that?
Yes, and I would not use the word swerved. It's my understanding from review of both LPD's accident report and the city accident report that the LFR driver completed, is that what happened is when they went to brake, terrible grammar there, my apologies, they slid. It was raining, it was wet conditions, and the fire engine then veered into the lane. It wasn't like they swerved with their driving wheel into the lane.
So they had to brake, and that's what caused, and I guess in plain speak for me, not that they swerved, but the brake is what caused the swerve into the other lane, or the movement into the other lane.
And more specifically, I would really say it's vehicle 2 that is the impetus for the accident. The LFR driver's accident report indicates that they did not have a blinker on when they went to make a turn. And that accident report was completed the same day as the accident, as was LPD's accident report.
And so vehicle 2 was not moving, and that's why the fire engine had to brake.
Right.
Can you help me understand a little bit? Because I think I'm thinking through this. Shouldn't there have been like a safe distance away from vehicle 2, so that way there wouldn't have been that kind of movement to happen. Because I'm thinking like if I was driving my car, right, and then if I had hit the brakes to avoid a car accident, right, totally get it. But then if I had swerved over and then hit someone else's car, I guess I would assume that I probably would have gotten, a ticket or whatever because I was following too closely or whatever.
Sure. So, I mean, I can't speak for like when the police department decides to issue a citation or when they don't. But what I will say again, from reviewing LFR's accident report that was completed just after this, it sounds like vehicle 2 made a sudden stop.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't stop. So I can't speak to what the exact distance was between the vehicles. I don't have any reason to believe that there wasn't a safe distance.
Yeah, and I guess my point of that wasn't necessarily, thinking should they or should they not have gotten the ticket, but I guess just in terms of when I think of, through the plain language of stuff, right? And I guess my understanding is if there should have been a safer distance that would have prevented that sort of movement. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have copies of the police report
I do.
and the firefighters report?
I do.
Can we see those?
The city accident vehicle report would not be a matter of public record. I can show you the police crash report, though, because that is a public record. Yep. Do you want me to just hand it to you?
I can just, is that okay if I can just kind of look at it? I'll pass it along.
It is, yes.
Lily, is the city saying that they're not liable because the fire truck didn't have contact with the other vehicle?
No, from a legal perspective, that it's whether or not I see there to be negligence on the part of the fire driver, and I do not, in my review of both the accident report and his report.
But yet the driver does admit to crossing the lane line?
So my understanding of what happened is that the reason he crosses into the lane is because of the slick conditions of the road. And I do not think that shows negligence on the part of the fire driver.
If he's driving too fast for conditions and can't stop, doesn't that indicate negligence?
I don't think that there is current evidence that shows that he was driving too fast for the conditions.
But he slid on the road.
He did. Or I guess I shouldn't assume the driver did. I don't know which driver it was.
Tom, can I see that when you're done?
You guys want to see this?
I would.
It's the diagrams. The first diagram is the same. I don't know how the second one was edited so well because you've got the same vehicle stamps and stuff.
It's amazing what you can do with cut and paste. But both of our vehicles slid.
Okay. Oh, your vehicle slid too?
Yes.
Because you were trying to avoid it.
Well, I hit the
Collision.
brakes and turned away because I saw the front of the fire engine coming into my lane.
Councilman Weber, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Ely, you had brought up negligence, right? And that the standard is and correct me if I'm wrong, right, that city law has denied this claim because there is no evidence that the driver was driving negligently.
That's correct. That's the reason we've recommended denial, yes.
Okay. And the standard is there would have to be negligence.
In this circumstance, yes, that would be what city legal would be looking at it from.
Okay. And so just the mere fact that the driver slid at some point and as a result of the weather conditions does not necessitate or does not mean that the driver was negligent in city law's opinion.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Bowers.
Is the same standard apply to like residents who are driving? Like if a resident is driving, hit the brakes, and then enters into the other lane, would they then be absolved, or would? And I know that speculation, I guess, but like, do you get the vibe of what I'm going for? Right? Is like, would that same like standard be applied to residents?
So more than likely, I mean, I guess I can't speak for what exactly someone would bring, a claim against that person under, but if it was under negligence, it would be the same. They'd be looking at it in the same way, yes.
Would that be negligent of the driver then? If a resident was driving and then they hit the brakes to avoid a stationary car and then swerved into a different lane? Or, I know you're not saying the word swerve, but like then had movement or entrance into the other lane?
I would say it depends.
Did you want this?
Sure.
I'd just like to say that this is totally against my training as a police officer, 26 years. When you're driving your vehicle, you're supposed to be in complete control of the vehicle, even in icy, slick, wet conditions. And when you are forced to stop, to take evasive actions because somebody stopped in front of you, and you enter someone else's lane, and that vehicle veers off and hits a couple of objects that causes damage, the fire truck ends up being the approximate cause of that accident because of the weather conditions and because that he was driving too fast. And that's almost an automatic citation in most cases. I don't understand why this one was not written, but I'll just add that because it doesn't seem logical.
Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Chair Washington. Ms. Ely, my colleagues and I, we've been asking about negligence. Can you just, for us to be able to make an informed decision, give us a definition, a legal definition of what is negligent?
I can. I would prefer not to do that.
Okay.
And I can ask the city attorney to come up here if he would like to give a different answer. I think that negligence has a very simplified legal definition that you could say, like in law school, here's how we're going to define negligence. Unfortunately, I would say in looking at negligence, it's always going to be on a case-by-case basis.
And I guess, so where I was going with that is, my colleague, Councilman Duden, brings up a good point about, in this situation, XYZ applies. My understanding has always been that negligence is so closely tied to the circumstance surrounding the situation, right?
That's correct.
And so to determine if something has been negligence, which I don't know is even necessarily appropriate for this body to decide, as we are not a finder of law, right? We just see if we accept or deny the claims that city law provides. But my understanding is that for an individual to have not been negligent in a situation like that, they would have had to act unreasonable given the circumstances that they are in, and sliding while driving, given the weather, does not necessarily mean that negligence occurred.
In this situation, I would say that's a fair assessment of
Okay.
negligence, yes.
Thank you.
Do any of the councilors have comments or questions?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Can I ask
You
a
may
question?
make a summarizing statement.
Okay. I guess the question that I would pose would be, had I continued forward and collided with the fire engine instead of basically taking the curb, would, and I guess, like I said, with them sliding into my lane, I guess, which would have been the better option for me, just to go straight ahead and collide with the fire engine because they came into my lane, versus, like I said, avoiding the impact, saving the city the expense of having to fix the fire engine and my vehicle as well.
I appreciate the question. I'm going to take that as your concluding statement.
That's fine.
I would ask for city law to respond to that.
Then, City Attorney Christie, would you like to respond?
I will respond if the council's asking me to respond.
Councilman Bowers has asked you to respond to the claimant.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's interesting, right? Like if Dr.
Forgy, thank you.
Forgy wouldn't have moved and the fire truck would have hit him, would the result still have been the same, that like he would then have to be responsible for his own damages, and would that have been like still considered negligent, or I'm kind of curious like what the scenario would have been if he had not moved his car, and would he have been responsible for the damages, or would the city have said that they would have taken that on?
So I never want to stand up here and answer a hypothetical, right? But I am gonna answer it. I'm gonna do my best to answer it right. But what I don't want to do is have myself or other attorneys sit up here and answer hypotheticals and commit one way or not to information that's not in front of us.
Right.
But what I would say is my understanding of this claim is there's another vehicle that caused the whole situation, right? Whether it was the I don't know if it's vehicle 3 or whatever vehicle it is that caused the sudden stop. Under that scenario, my understanding is would be that vehicle that triggered the whole incident that I would stand up here and say should be responsible.
Okay.
And we have no information on.
But I think my understanding is that that's what triggered this whole, and under your hypothetical, that's what triggered the whole thing.
Yeah. You know, I think, I'll make a motion or second a motion, when we get to that point, to remove it from denied, because I feel like if there's a car that is in front of us that brakes and then we hit it, that is usually the person's responsibility for not keeping a safe enough distance, and I think the same thing kind of applies. So, feel free to respond to that if you would like, but I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. Benny and Brody.
Councilman Shen.
I have a slight procedural question. On the claims list in front of us, this claim is not listed as a denied claim.
It is.
It is.
Listed in 2 places, actually, as denied and as pending.
Okay, well, we can, procedurally, we can fix that, but as long as it's listed on the denied claims and on the proposed resolution, it's on denied. So the proposed resolution in front of you should have it correct.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fogarty. Oh, Councilman Weber.
Thank you. Just a quick question, discussing this hypothetical, that hypothetical, the standard of negligence, right? Is that something the city of Lincoln has determined, or is that something that cities other than Lincoln also determine in making these decisions because of state statute or because of, I guess?
Yeah, so negligence is defined in the Nebraska revised statutes. So it's a statewide negligence standard.
So it's not.
And it's also defined at law. In case law. Yep.
So I guess what I'm asking though is we are not unique, the city of Lincoln, for having the standard of negligence as the determination of whether or not to approve or deny a claim.
No, that's correct. Yep. So the State Tort Claims Act would have a very similar requirement. I'm assuming other cities would as well. Any political subdivision as defined in the Nebraska revised statutes would have the exact same standards as we do as Lincoln.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other claimant who would like to come forward? And if I am rushing this, is there any other counselor who would like to address this claim?
In terms of making a motion?
No.
Okay.
I believe we're done with this discussion, Mr. Fogarty's claim. You've indicated that you're going to make a motion. I'd like to know if there's any other claimant present who would like to come forward and speak on their claim. Mr. Fogarty, we get to voting session after we've finished each of the resolution hearings. So it'll be about 20 minutes.
All right.
Thank you. Is there any other claimant who'd like to come forward? Seeing no other claimant, we'll move on to the next item and come back to this at voting.
I'll call item 5B, approving the amended and restated City of Lincoln's Employee Flexible Benefit Plan, Health Flexible Spending Account Plan, and Dependent Care Flexible Spending Account Plan, effective January 1st of 2025.
Good afternoon, Director.
Barb McIntyre, Human Resources Director, 555 South 10th Street. And we are here to talk to you today about a component of our benefit plan that we've never discussed before. So I have invited a guest with me as our expert on this topic, and I'll have him introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Peters. I'm a partner at Klein Williams, 233 South 13th Street, Suite 1900. I represent employers on retirement and benefit plans, and we work with a number of different employers on cafeteria plans. The city had talked to me recently about its cafeteria plans that is maintained under Code Section 125. It is the code section by which individuals can pay for benefits that are among a list of benefits, but health insurance, dental insurance, vision, and then as well as a health flexible spending account and a dependent care flexible spending account on a pre-tax basis. So the city allows its employees to do that. The city wanted to amend and restate its plans. We prepared these types of plans for other employers. We prepared amended and restated plans for the city. These plans don't change any of the contributions that the city makes on behalf of its employees. And then obviously whatever the city doesn't make, the employees then need to make, those will still be maintained in their various negotiated agreements. But whatever amount that the employee wants to put in, he or she can do so on a pre-tax basis through these plans. The resolution also allows the mayor to sign these plans and adopt amendments and restatements to the plans if they're necessary to comply with the law, or if they are appropriate because of changes to the law. That's because, very unexcitingly, these plans are amended, or the code is amended by Congress every now and then, or the IRS issues guidance every now and then, and we thought that that would be something that the city could take care of, or that the mayor could take care of, to say this particular rule or that particular rule needs to be added or subtracted from the plans at some point in the future.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilors?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Peters.
Thank you.
Director McIntyre. All right, Madam Clerk. Oh, is there anyone here to speak on this item? Anyone from the public to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition to item 5B? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
I'll call item 5C, accepting the Air Quality Program Grant Work Plan for the 2025-2028 federal fiscal years.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Gary Bergstrom, Air Quality Program Supervisor for Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department. This agreement is for funds that we have essentially received in our program for many years under the Section 105 part of the Clean Air Act. We receive pass-through funding that comes from EPA through the state of Nebraska that helps us support the work of our program within Lancaster County. Happy to answer any questions you might have on that.
Okay. Do any councilors have questions on the air quality work plan?
I would note just this will be a 4-year work plan. Typically, we've engaged in a 1 or 2 year work plan previously, so this will be a longer term work plan for us. But we don't feel like it has any impact on the work that we do. So I'll just point that out.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here today who'd like to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition of the air quality work plan? Seeing no one coming forward, let's proceed, Madam Clerk.
I'll call item 5D, Item 5D is approving the contract renewal between the City of Lincoln and Oracle America, Inc. for technical support services for a 2-year term.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Hello, my name is Carl Steffen, Interim Chief Information Officer for the City of Lincoln. This is for licensing for a core line of business application for the City of Lincoln that would take us years to move off of, so we don't want to at this time. And it's a multi-year contract in order to control increase in costs.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Steffen? I see no question. Oh, that was a thumbs up. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here today who'd like to speak on the contract between the City of Lincoln and Oracle America for the next 2 years? This is our payroll system. Seeing no one coming forward, let's move ahead. Madam Clerk.
Item 5E is comprehensive plan conformance 24020, application of Holly Hamlet LLC to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed amendment to the Holly Hamlet property conservation easement, modifying the easement width of Outlet A, generally located at North 26th Street and U Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Kent Seacrest representing Tim Rennie and Kay Walters, who is here with you today, and they have their related business entities of Holly Hamlet LLC and the Holly Hamlet Neighborhood Garden. And we were in front of you over a year ago, creating what I call a conservation garden easement. And we also have been working closely with Charlie Wessaw with Good Old Neighbor Works. And we are standing in front of you today to amend what we did over a year ago. The map in front of you is showing the black and white dashed areas. Those are the different areas. And located within that is what you'll see as the red area. And that's what we call Outlot A. And that's the most one of the more formal parts of the conservation easement. It has 15 garden plots. And while we were trying to get the conservation easement done last year, NeighborWorks was trying to plat the area. And we thought the
Neighborhood Works was trying to do what?
Plat, create the different lots for the northern part of the area. And we thought that the width of Outlet A was going to be 38 feet because that's the 15 rows that we've been gardening in. Somewhere along the line it shrunk and we lost 8 feet, and so Outlet A just got to be 30 feet wide instead of 38 feet. So we're trying to add back the 8 feet we thought was there, and it's important because Outlet A has certain rights under the conservation easement greater than the other areas that I showed you along the way. And so NeighborWorks has agreed to add the 8 feet. The abutting neighbors have all agreed to add the 8 feet. And so everybody's in support, but you need to make a finding. You're not part of the conservation easement directly. Doesn't run with you as a party, but you're supposed to, under state statute, find that it's in conformance with the comprehensive plan, and it's in the public's interest to add this 8 feet back. And so staff has made their finding that we meet that standard. Planning Commission, it was part of their consent agenda. It stayed on consent, and they unanimously thought so as well. So we now stand in front of you asking for your support, and Kay's going to give you a couple of words of wisdom.
Thank you. The Holly Hamlet Neighborhood Garden has seen an increase in the number of households wanting garden space this year. Typically, we have around 20 households that request space, and this year we have 25. So that's another reason why we're very interested in regaining the 8 feet. While the new residents of the Holly Corners project account for some of the growth, this also reflects the growth of food prices. From 2019 to 2024, Grocery prices rose 27% nationally, and 2025 food prices are expected to go up, especially when tariffs are placed on Mexico and Canada. This last season, around 250 people attended public tours of the Holly Hamlet. Many of the people came asking for advice on gardening, and many left expressing interest in starting something similar in their own yards or blocks. And so thank you for considering this resolution on expanding the conservation easement in the Holly neighborhood and for supporting any future endeavors of this nature in Lincoln.
We'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Walters. Are there any questions? Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Chair Washington, Mr. Seacrest. I just want to clarify, so the reason this conservation easement is back before us today is because somewhere along the line there was inaccurate surveying, which is,
I wouldn't call it inaccurate survey. I think this was part of the NeighborWorks project, and they were creating 3 lots out of some old lots, and they reconfigured them. I think by the time planning and NeighborWorks figured out what the standards should be, there was only 30 feet width left. So that's what they went ahead and platted without us knowing about it. We are adding the 8 feet, not expanding Outlot A, we're just expanding the easement into the 8 feet of our neighbor, which is again part of our team, part of the NeighborWorks lot. So NeighborWorks always agreed it was supposed to be 38 feet wide, 15 rows. And so we're just putting Humpty Dumpty back together again.
so the project's substantively the same as has became before this council and approved unanimously.
If you took an aerial today, you wouldn't notice the difference before and after.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Question. All right. Any other? Thank you very much for coming forward. Is there anyone else here today who would like to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition? Seeing none, we'll proceed. Madam Clerk.
I'll call item 5F, use permit 17007A, application of 1081 Properties LLC, Olson, to amend existing use permit to establish a preliminary site layout for the expansion of the campus and future development, provide calculations for the site drainage, and request a height waiver on property generally located at Northwest First Street and West Harvest Drive.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bright.
Thank you. My name is Aaron Bright. I work with Olson on behalf of property owner and Sand Hills Global Campus. Got a use permit amendment in front of you today. Purpose of the amendment was the original amendment basically just established the zoning district and the boundary surrounding Sand Hills Global Campus. This particular amendment provided a little more detail on some upcoming expansion that we are looking at and some preliminary design information that both planning department and ultimately building and safety will want. So all that site plan information did go through with our use permit submittal for planning commission. That did get approved on February 5th through consent agenda. One item that carried over was we did have a building height waiver in that use permit amendment for the proposed buildings to expand up to 65 feet, I believe, for the zoning district. So we did need the waiver to be approved through City Council. Just a quick note on the heights. It's going to be very consistent with the existing buildings that are out there. There's not going to be anything in excess of the existing heights that are out there as well. So it'll be very consistent with the scope and scale of the existing buildings that are on campus. So I can answer any questions anyone may have for me.
Okay. Are there any questions from councilors?
No.
All right. I believe the report actually said 60 foot.
60.
A 60-foot waiver.
Yep.
And then they did note that the apartments across the street were at 55.
55, yep. We should be good with 60.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Seeing no comments or questions from the councilors, I'll pose this to the chamber. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition? Seeing no one coming forward, Madam Clerk, I believe we can move on to voting.
Correct. Item 5A is accepting and approving the report of due and pending claims against the city for February 1st through February 15th of 2026. Introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion?
I would like to make a motion to move Dr. Forgy, I apologize, Forgy's claim from denial. And there's a couple of reasons why, and I'm still trying to organize my thoughts here, but I'll just kind of go off. I mean, I appreciate the fact that city law reviews, the case and whatnot, but, their decision is not binding, right? And that's why it comes in front of the city council. So we can provide oversight and it's an advice to us, right? We still have the discretion, especially when we're talking about something that's not, we have a lot of claims that come in front of us, but they all seem to be kind of similar in form. And when we're talking about process and understanding how city operations work. When I was asking questions about, if it applied to a resident, it's not so much more like a hypothetical situation, more as trying to share what is, I would believe to be the public notion or the general consensus of what happens in traffic accidents, right? If there is a braking of a car, someone brakes a car, hits the brakes, and then the car behind them rear ends them, I feel like it's general knowledge that it's typically the person that hits the car, the person that rear-ended the other car at fault. And so I haven't heard anything about vehicle 2 causing the accident, right? I didn't hear anything about, their brake lights weren't working or that the vehicle that had stopped was acting erratically. And so, the driver, the doctor was placed really in a no-win situation. No matter what was going to happen, he was going to be in some sort of accident. And so I don't believe that he had any other reasonable alternative than to, hit the curb. Otherwise, the fire truck would have hit him directly. And I think that if the city wants to say that the vehicle that was ahead, vehicle 2 was the reason for the car accident, then I think that could be our responsibility to go after that vehicle that caused the accident to seek damages if we're going to say that person's responsible. Because right now I think that we have a resident that was placed in a no-win situation because of the fire engine. And I can understand city law saying, that they decided that it doesn't fall under the rule of negligence, but I think that's where we don't have to be lawyers to be elected to the city council, right? We don't have to be attorneys, and that's where I'm applying kind of the general knowledge of how I view it. And so because he was put in a no-win position, because he was going to be in a car accident regardless, I haven't heard anything to say that the other vehicle being a cause for the accident. I think that if the city wants to seek to be made whole, then they should go after the vehicle that was stopped at the end and let that play out. But I don't think that we should have the doctor be held responsible for something that he had no control over, if that makes sense. Is there a second?
I will second that long motion.
All right, second, Carlson. Any discussion?
I would like to respond to my good friend, Councilman Bowers, that I don't think that by accepting a denied claim that insinuates that we are not sympathetic to an individual situation. I can say confidently there has never been a time that we've discussed claims where I have not found myself sympathetic to at least one or more claimants. And while the recommendation that is provided by city law is not binding, we have to be fiscally disciplined when we're discussing taxpayer dollars, right? And that's what this comes down to. And we have to apply the standard consistently across situations, across things of this nature. While I am sympathetic in this situation, the standard is that for the city to have been to approve the claim, that there would have had to be negligence found, and that is not present here. There is not anything that indicates negligence on part of the city. And so in my opinion, the responsible thing to do is to accept the claim and apply the standard that we apply in all similar cases, because we really are getting to a consequential decision if we determine that this situation, is unfortunate because what were they supposed to do here? Are we applying this standard or this standard? And then we'll find ourselves in potential spots of contradiction. And that's why I think that's why I personally will not be voting to remove this from the denied claims.
Can I respond to that?
No, we're going to let's hear from the rest of the counselors before it becomes a back and forth.
Yeah.
Is there any other counselor who'd like to speak on this? Councilman Duden.
Yeah, I enjoy both your comments about this particular claim, but I can't ignore my training and former knowledge in working some of these accidents. Yeah, it would have been nice to have to know who was in the other vehicle and why they stopped, but to be very honest, it doesn't matter. That person can stop on the road if there was a child in front of them, or if there was a ball rolling across the street, for any reason. And if you're behind that vehicle, you've got to be prepared to be able to stop so that you don't cause an accident, so that you don't slide into the lane that's next to you, that sort of thing. So that's why I actually support Bowers' request to remove it off of it, because I think if the firefighter would have rear-ended the stopped vehicle in front of him, he would have definitely caused a lot more injury. And the same thing if Dr. Fogarty would have kept going straight and hit the fire truck, he could have been hurt and injured. But no, he took evasive action, and unfortunately, there's $630 some worth of damage, which I think is minimal damage in this type of circumstance. So that's why I'm kind of surprised the city denied it at all. So.
Anyone else?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Bowers.
I appreciate, Brody, we're saying about, sympathy and being fiscally disciplined. And, I think for me, this isn't about being sympathetic. And I think, our past actions have shown that we have been fiscally disciplined, right? Because, we get a ton of cases that come in front of us, right? And I think it's, this is more unique to disagree, right, with what city law has recommended, right? So that's why I am making this motion, is because it's not about sympathy, and I feel like we are fiscally disciplined. But to me, this does go against what I would consider our standard, our consistent standard, right? And so just because city law says that, this is a standard, or how they're interpreting things, I think ultimately it's the city council saying we're endorsing how they are interpreting that, right? So I think that by removing his denied claim, that actually falls more in line with us being consistent with the standard that we hold residents to. I'm not an attorney. I don't know how comparative fault matters and how that, how that could apply where you don't actually have to, accept negligence for it. But I think by removing by removing his claim, I think that's actually what keeps us in line with being consistent with our standards.
I'd like to offer a comment. I think this is a robust conversation, and I appreciate the amount of time and attention we've given to this case. I think the reason that I have hesitancy about voting to remove this from the denied list is that this conversation included a lot of supposition, a lot of assumption. We did not have all the information in front of us, but yet we were making hypothetical situations or describing hypothetical situations and trying to make an apple meet an apple instead of an apple and an orange. And I actually don't believe that we're anywhere close to understanding the full scope of what the situation was. And though I appreciate Councilman Bowers, your desire for, I'll change the word just a little bit, fairness, and how we treat and how residents are treated by the Lincoln Police Department when they're may be, in fact, an accident, and how we're treating this case, there's just too many unknowns and a lack of detail in the information, and so I will not be voting to remove from denial. Madam?
If there's not enough information, would you be interested in doing a delay then? If the concern is there, we don't have all of the full information, then would there be an interest in delaying it for 2 weeks so that way you can get all the information you need?
I think the only way for me to get all the well, one, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a police officer, I didn't write the accident report. And some of the information is not public information, so I need to, if I were going to change my mind on this, I would probably need to sit down and spend hours on this, and I'm not sure that, I believe it's worth, that sounds, just one moment. I'm not so sure that the information that we have at hand on an accident that happened in November would warrant making a change. Councilman Beckius.
Thank you, Chair Washington. I agree that I think on, in order to continue a fair application, as Councilman Weber stated, we have city law to make those determinations and recommendations to us. And as I have not necessarily seen an indication here of negligence, which is the standard under which we should be proceeding, I don't know that I would ascertain any additional information either with additional review.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to remove from denial.
Carlson?
No.
Duden?
Yes.
Schob?
No.
Beckius?
No.
Weber?
No.
Bowers?
Yes.
Washington?
No.
Motion lost, 2-5.
And now the main motion.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
No.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried, 6-1.
All right. 5B, please.
Item 5B is approving the amended and restated City of Lincoln's Employee Flexible Benefit Plan, Health Flexible Spending Account Plan, Independent Care Flexible Spending Account Plan, effective January 1st of 2025, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson, discussion. I wanted to just add on this one that I think it's wonderful to have this benefit or this these changes made for our employees. It's great that this can come out tax-free to pay for health insurance. Madam Clerk.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5C is accepting the Air Quality Program Grant 105 Funds Work Plan for the 2025-2028 federal fiscal years, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Beckius?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5D is approving the contract renewal between the City of Lincoln and Oracle America, Inc. for our technical support services for a 2-year term, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion. Madam Clerk.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5E is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 24020, application of Holly Hamlet LLC to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed amendment to the Holly Hamlet Property Conservation Easement, modifying the easement width of Outlot A, generally located at North 26th Street and U Street, introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion. Councilman Weber.
Well, I was just going to say, when I said last time this was before us, I wish I could vote on stuff like this more often. I didn't mean to make you guys come back, but, this is a project that I really am, excited that we get to have in Lincoln. I noticed Kay said, in her remarks that she was thankful for our support. And I hate to speak for my colleagues, but I think we're thankful for you bring this kind of project before us. And not every city has a Tim and Kay, and Lincoln's really lucky to have you both doing the work you are to make Lincoln a great place to call home. So I will support this project again.
Hear, hear.
Brody, I think you're just enjoying the tomatoes.
Councilman Beckius.
Yes, I would just like to echo Councilman Weber's comments. I think it's pretty hard to imagine that this would not fit squarely into our comprehensive plan, as that has been developed over a number of years with hundreds and hundreds of community members. But it takes a few people to actually make those plans come to life. And Ms. Walter, thank you for that. And if you could also send our appreciation to Tim as well.
All right. Any others? All right. I echo the thanks. Madam Clerk.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Weber?
Yep.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right.
Item 5F is use permit 17007A, application of 1081 Properties LLC, Olson, to amend existing use permit to establish a preliminary site layout for the expansion of the campus and future development, provide calculations for the site drainage, and request a height waiver on property generally located at Northwest First Street and West Harvest Drive. Introduced by Weber.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Councilman Beckius.
Yes, I would just like to mention to the applicant, or thank the applicant and their representation here today for their continued expansion in the Lincoln market, especially when we're talking about this particular campus and these particular updates. It's an easy ask, and just wanted to say thank you for the continued investment in our community.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. All right, let's move forward to reconsideration.
Item 6A is reconsideration, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for January 16th through January 31st of 2025.
All right. Attorney Christie?
Well, this is unusual procedure. Nancy Christie, City Attorney. I think where we're at is any member of the prevailing party can ask to reconsider an item at that meeting or the next meeting. And so this was heard at the last meeting. I believe we have a request to reconsider. And so I think the first step is to make a motion to reconsider, then vote on that. And then assuming that vote passes, then move to, I think it's a motion to amend that would like to be made. So.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for us to
Reconsider?
Reconsider this particular claim and have it removed. And
Let's just reconsider it and vote on that. Let's just reconsider and we'll vote on that.
All we need is to, reconsider the claim.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Beckius. Discussion.
Just clarify, this is to vote to reconsider. Okay.
To reconsider only.
Only.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Duden?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Thank you. Now, the motion we have before us is about the claims that were heard last week.
We don't have a motion before. We just reconsider.
Oh, we just have a motion
Now we're
to
waiting for
reconsider.
another motion.
Now we need another motion.
So I'd like to make a
Councilman
motion, verbal motion, to remove the claim of Larry Carter from denied and placed on pending for 2 weeks, or until
Just remove
next
from
week.
denied.
Yeah.
Just remove from
3/10/24.
Attorney Christie, please.
Thank you. I think the motion is just to remove it from denied to pending.
The pending, period.
Denied,
Yep.
pending.
Second.
Second, Beckius. Any discussion?
What prompted this?
Thank you for asking the question. I've been wanting to say.
This is the discussion part.
Here's the discussion, yes. I asked for the reconsideration. Last week, I was chairing the meeting like I do, and this conversation was robust, and we moved into the vote, and I made a note to vote
Yes to remove.
yes to pending, and in my haste, I voted no as I was moving ahead, thinking ahead to the next items, and realized as soon as the vote was taken that I needed to ask for reconsideration so that I could vote to move to pending. And as City Attorney Christie said, the only way to get a reconsideration is if you are on the prevailing side.
If I may, just the motion is to remove it to pending. We've had the opportunity to speak with Councilperson Washington, Councilperson Duden, actually before the prior meeting, and Law Department, we're in support of moving this claim to pending. I'm happy to talk to you more or happy to talk now, but just want to be clear that we support moving this claim to pending, and we will reach out to the claimant in the meantime.
Any other discussion?
No.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk. I think we're at resolutions, first reading.
I have a question for clarity.
Oh,
Do we
please.
have another vote for that reconsideration?
Yeah, I believe I'm reading the email here to item 1E.
Oh, that's a
Is that what
separate.
you're, is that?
Yes, it is a separate question, but I am still
You're still on the
asking
last
about
one.
6A. Yes.
Okay.
If we have another motion after the motion to amend.
I'm sorry. Do we vote on the motion to amend? We did not vote on the main motion? Is that what you're?
Did.
That's what I wanted clarification, because we voted for the motion to reconsider, and then we had a verbal motion to amend, and that's the only two that we need. Is that correct?
No, we should vote on the main motion. I'm sorry.
Right,
Thank
so
you. for
main
catching that. So
motion,
we need one more
correct.
motion to vote on the main motion. Yep.
Votes. Thank
Yep.
you.
Like we would any other motion to amend.
So moved.
Yep. Thank you.
Beckius moves. We need a second.
Yes.
Second.
Second, Duden. All righty. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. All right, please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. That was an unusual, but appreciate we got through that.
Thank you.
What did we learn?
Madam Clerk?
Yes.
I also have another reconsideration for an item that was at the beginning of our agenda. We have item 1E. There was actually a motion to amend for that item to accept a substitute resolution that we had failed to move.
Today, 1E on the consent agenda, approving the selection of the contractor. Is that the item?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If I may.
Please.
I think that this motion to amend, Director Elliott spoke about it. She stood up here and told you who was awarded the contract.
Yes.
The motion to amend has the contractor who was awarded in the resolution. That is what the motion to amend is.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's really a substitution of
Yes.
the other. Okay.
Even though she stood up here and told you that, we have a motion that reflects that as well.
Councilman Schob.
Procedurally, so we voted on this already.
Yep.
Do we need to go back and, do we need to make a motion to reconsider
Yes.
to put it back on our agenda so we can vote?
We're going to do the same thing that we just did.
All right. Madam Chair, I make a motion to reconsider.
I'll second.
Second, Carlson.
1E?
Yep.
All right, so this is a motion to reconsider. We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, so
Madam Chair, I make a motion to amend.
now we're going to make a motion to amend, and that amendment is really a substitution.
And that-
Oh, do you want that one?
Well,
No,
you-
did
you
you want it? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just
Go ahead.
trying to keep
Go
this
ahead.
moving.
Yep,
Yes,
good.
you did. All right, we need a second on the motion to amend from.
Yes.
Yes, Duden? All right. Any discussion?
Councilmember Show, will you read the motion there to amend as indicated?
Okay. I hereby move the, introduced, blah, blah, blah. Motion to amend requested by Lincoln Transportation Utilities. Reason for request, contractor identification as the lowest bidder.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, to identify the contractor.
Thank you.
All right.
A lot of words here.
So we have a motion to amend. It's been entered and seconded by Duden. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
And now, the main motion.
Move approval of the main motion.
Beckius, second, please.
Yes.
Second, Duden. All right, any discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What else can we repair?
I have one more. Resolutions, Section 7, first reading, are items 7A through 7F. On this section, for item 7D, I do have a request to remove this, or to withdraw this item from the agenda.
Removing 7E.
7D,
Dale.
as in David.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Motion to remove. Would someone like to make the motion to remove?
Go ahead, Justin. Sir.
Oh, I was just gonna make a motion to remove item 7D.
Second?
Second, Beckius. Any discussion? Question, was this done at the request of the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, so that's been removed from our agenda. Madam Clerk, proceed.
Section 8 is ordinances, first readings, and related resolutions are items 8A through 8K. Section 9 is our pending list, which are items 9A through 9D.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes,
Motion carried 7-0.
we are adjourned.